There I was handcuffed in my own driveway, plastic zip ties biting into my wrist while my neighbor Delilah filmed the whole thing with her iPhone looking like she'd just won the grand prize on some twisted game show. Saturday morning in suburbia, 9:47 a.m. The sun's already burning off the dew. You got the scent of fresh-cut grass mixing with the sticky sweetness of asphalt. And in the distance, a lawnmower humming away like nothing's wrong in the world. Except, well, there I was arrested by two guys who looked more suited to loading moving trucks than law enforcement, while Delilah, with her perfect nails and weaponized clipboard, played director for her own HOA reality show. Yeah, that's my life. You ever had your HOA hire fake security to arrest you for building a deck with your 12-year-old daughter? Because that's what kicked off my morning, and let me tell you, it's a real special feeling when your own garage door echoes back the sound of zip ties like a punchline. Drop a comment if you've ever survived anything close to this, because I want to know where all my fellow HOA survivors are hiding. But see, while Delilah's busy trying to immortalize her victory, what she didn't realize, what none of them realized, was that sometimes the best revenge is patience. Let them dig their own hole. And that's exactly what I did, silent as a stone, letting every second of their power trip become evidence in a case bigger than any of them could imagine. Now let me back up a sec, because to understand how we got here, you gotta know how this mess began. My name's Marcus Rivera. For 15 years, I worked financial crimes for the FBI. Yeah, the real FBI. Not the kind with Halloween costumes and toy badges. I learned how to spot a con, trace a money trail, and sniff out a scam from a mile off. Turns out those skills are pretty useful in a place like Willowbrook Estates. My wife Carmen, she's an ER nurse working nights so we could get into the right school district for our daughter Sophia. The house needed work, but that was the plan, teach Sophia some real-world skills. Fix up the place together, maybe put down some roots. Should have known we were in for it when the welcome packet from the HOA landed on our porch like a cinder block, thicker than a phone book, full of rules, warnings, and not a single neighborly gesture in sight. Carmen just laughed it off, told me to play nice. Third day, and me and Sophia are out back up to our elbows in sawdust and power tools fixing the old deck when the shadow falls over our work. I look up and there's Delilah clipboard at the ready, hair done up like she's headed for a photo shoot Lexus with Rules 1 plates gleaming in her driveway. "Do you have architectural approval for this structure?" she says, sharp enough to slice bread. Told her it was a standard deck replacement, all pre-approved. She looked us up and down, me in my work boots, Sophia with dirt on her cheek, and hit us with the kind of sneer that tells you you're not in her little club. "Nothing standard here, Mr. Rivera," she says like she's announcing a verdict. Within 48 hours, certified letter shows up, $500 fine for unauthorized construction, extra penalties for using pressure-treated lumber, which apparently offends the HOA gods. The smell of burnt coffee at 2 a.m. became my new reality as I waded through HOA docs looking for some legal basis for Delilah's authority. Spoiler, there wasn't any. She'd made up her own title, never got board approval, never had the right to fine or harass anyone. But bullies like her, they count on folks being too tired or too scared to fight back. Week 2, another letter. $500 for mailbox height. Turns out ours was 2 inches too low, a rule she invented overnight. She even held a board meeting with herself as the only attendee, rubber stamping new enforcement powers on her laser printer. That printer became the soundtrack of our street official-looking documents sliding out like clockwork, all signed by Community Standards Director Delilah Thornfield. But here's the thing, 15 years working cons taught me to ask for proof. Board minutes, actual bylaw updates, she couldn't produce a single one. So I showed up at the next real board meeting, just 3 sleepy board members around a folding table. Asked about Delilah's authority, they all squirmed. "We just let her handle things," said Bob the treasurer, looking everywhere but at me. When I asked for the bylaws, Delilah went full spin doctor, claimed they were updated but never provided a copy. So I pulled the originals from county records, legal as you please. The look she gave me like I'd just set fire to her garden was priceless. After that, the fines rained down daily. tall grass paint color, car parked improperly on my own property. My daughter started walking with her head down, not asking about our project anymore. That's when I realized this wasn't just about some deck or mailbox. It was about intimidation, breaking families down, making them too exhausted to fight. By week 3, total fines, 3,750, and a dozen documented violations on her, not me. And a dozen. Month 2, Delilah takes it up a notch. Shows up with a shiny badge, community safety officer, and papers with phony legalese. Claimed she had police backing and would file property liens if we didn't comply. The smell of cheap toner hung in the air as she dropped anonymous warnings on neighbors' doors, property values at risk, complete with blurry photos of our deck. Carmen comes home shaken. Someone called her supervisor. Sophia's school gets an anonymous concerned parent report. That's when I dug in for real. No such badge or title existed in county records. Real police told me flat out there was no cooperation agreement with the HOA. But the most chilling part, families had been run out of the neighborhood before us, selling cheap after getting the Delilah treatment. Her partner, Randy, the property manager, pocketed fees off every panicked move-out. They'd orchestrated a quiet exodus, 47,000 in profits, 14 families in 2 years. So I started collecting my own evidence, installed cameras, logged every violation, reached out to neighbors. Mrs. Olivia Widow down the street had paid thousands in fake fines, too scared to tell anyone until now. The twist, while Delilah thought she was isolating me, I was actually building a case with 3 other neighbors. Suddenly, it wasn't just about harassment. It was about mail fraud, impersonation, conspiracy. A federal crime cocktail. Month 3. Delilah plays her nuclear card, calls an emergency meeting, accuses me of threatening her, files false reports, tries for a restraining order, spreads rumors until neighbors cross the street to avoid me. Sophia stops getting playdate invites. Carmen comes home crying from the stress. I know these tactics, textbook intimidation. So I call the FBI, discreetly request backup surveillance. Turns out Delilah had pulled the same stunt in 2 other states before. She moved in, built fake authority, harassed families till they sold, then moved on. This time, though, she'd picked the wrong target. Her grand finale, a staged citizen's arrest. She hires 2 guys barely out of work wearing fake badges and the kind of cologne that screams desperation. They zip-tie me in my own driveway while Delilah films, sure she's finally won. What she doesn't know, I'm wearing a wire. FBI teams are everywhere and everything's getting recorded. The sirens in the distance. That's not part of her show, that's my backup. I calmly state my badge number and federal jurisdiction. Delilah's face falls, realizing too late she just zip-tied a federal agent. Within days, she's facing federal charges, false imprisonment, mail fraud, racketeering, you name it. Turns out the deck project was just the tip of the iceberg. We uncovered a real estate fraud ring that spanned 3 states, stole over $340,000 in equity, and left dozens of families traumatized. Color-coded binders in her house listed targets by vulnerability, single parents, elderly, anyone easy to push around. The fallout, national headlines. Congressional subcommittees. Carmen started a support group. Sophia made awareness flyers, and Mrs. Olivia, our unlikely hero, became the new HOA president. Her infamous shoebox full of fake citations, now Exhibit A at every meeting. The FBI's asset forfeiture returned over $100,000 to the victims, and Delilah and Randy, well, they're serving time. Neighborhood changed too. Potlucks returned. Kids rode their bikes. Block parties on my finished deck became a tradition, Sophia cutting the ribbon with a grin that could light up the whole street. I got assigned to train other communities nationwide, teaching folks to spot HOA fraud, stand up for themselves, and never back down when bullies come knocking. Funny thing is, our nightmare became a national warning. The Consumer Protection Agency launched a hotline, states passed new transparency laws, and the Willowbrook Justice website helps families fight back all over the country. Sophia's essay, How My Dad Stopped the Bullies, won her a state contest, and Carmen finally got to work without looking over her shoulder. But I'll tell you, the scars run deep. Sophia still checks the locks at night. Carmen keeps a lawyer on speed dial. And me, I'm proud, but I'm tired. The real satisfaction is seeing neighbors smile again, hearing laughter at sunset, knowing families are safe, at least for now. So here's my question to you, because every neighborhood's got a story. What would you do if this happened to your family? Drop your HOA nightmare in the comments. Let's show these bullies they're outnumbered. And if you want to see how real justice goes down when organized crime hides behind a picket fence, you know where to find us. Don't stay silent. That's how they win.